Hello there. We all have an issue at some point in our lives with being able to express emotions. Now, it's no one's particular fault that we have issues and problems with expressing emotions. It's part of the way that we have been taught in our world to operate. So naturally, we're going to struggle with something we've never been taught how to do properly. And so I'm going to address in this video something that I've seen a bit of a theme amongst the people in my life, and myself included, and that is we need to learn to be still enough in order to process and release repressed emotions. Why do we want to release repressed emotions? Well, this is one of the root problems with having covert programming that is really running our own little life shows. Our covert programming, the stuff that we didn't actually consciously choose to be there, is what determines our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. And it's what causes us to get in trouble constantly throughout our day. It's what causes us to react instead of respond. It's what causes us to get triggered by things that feel like it's out of our control how we respond. It causes us to go into moods, be irritable, be frustrated, be angry, be sad, be guilty, be feeling shame. All of these experiences that are challenging and cause pain and suffering are a result of our covert programming, the subconscious part of our mind that has been well formed into habits, and without our ability to consciously control it from day to day, moment to moment. This is ultimately what causes our suffering in our lives. And that's what got me really interested in neuro-linguistic programming, which is now just one part of how I approach a healing philosophy for myself and my clients. And it seems to be working. So today, the problem with not being able to be still is that we can't deal with this covert programming enough to get rid of it, to release it, because ultimately we feel to heal. We need to feel it to make it real, to be able to let it go. Until then, it's just a shadow. It's operating from the shadows, and we haven't looked at it. So it's like we need to deal with the elephant in the room so we can walk it out. Okay, so the first thing we need to realize as we're getting good at being still enough to release these repressed emotions is that your number one priority in your life, if you want to heal, transform, grow, and evolve, feel better, in other words, is that you need to see this is absolutely integral. It is so important that you stop and be still and allow these repressed emotions, or if you like, energy in motion that's now stuck inside your body, to be released. It has to be important to you. You have to make this a priority in your life. Okay, otherwise all other efforts are going to be in vain. So number one, make it important. Number two, realize that you've been doing everything to avoid this process in your life. In fact, the ego, or our monkey mind, or our body-mind complex, if you like, all the programming, the subconscious stuff, the automaton programming, all the parts that are not the true us, all of that has been working to make sure that you never stop and be still and allow the emotions to rise and be released. Because if you stopped and you actually spent some time in stillness, and you actually spent some time with yourself and allowed these emotions to be felt, to come up from deep within you, if you actually stopped and allowed those, your ego can't operate the same way anymore. Its very life is threatened. And this is a good thing, because we really want to stop the ego or the mind from running the show from now on. Very quickly, we're finding in science, as it teams up with the spiritual, we're finding that the mind is supposed to be the servant to the heart. And that's why my motto in my coaching and counseling is master the mind and live in the heart. So number 2 here is realize you've been doing everything to avoid this process of feeling your whole life. And that's why we, as an average citizen in the world right now, are cut off from our bodies. We are cut off. We have a faulty or not working nervous system. That flow of energy in and out is blocked in many areas in our lives because we've learned our modus operandi is the head. So number 3, realize that it's not ever going to be as scary as your ego or your mind has created it to be when you finally stop and be still and sit with yourself. Okay, you've been building up a story, a narrative your entire life that if you actually stopped and stopped distracting yourself through doing, producing, and achieving, through eating and going into substances and avoidant behavior, through keeping busy, through reacting instead of responding, through staying unconscious, you continue to do this, all of these things that keep you distracted, it's not. It is, sorry, if you stop doing these things and actually stop for a moment and be still, you will find it's not nearly as scary as you've been led to believe. And this is what I often remind my clients about. It's really worth trying it out. And yes, that takes courage. Courage is moving into the heart to allow this process to unfold for you, for your highest benefit, for your highest good. And so realizing it's not going to be as scary as you think. Step 4, be still. And this is really how we do it. But what does being still actually mean? I mean, we hear this all the time, right? It means no more thinking, no mind. Being still means that we need to move from our mind, which is just a bunch of programs that are there to serve us from our heart, move from the mind, which is often taken over our lives and cause all sorts of confusion and chaos and fear, move from the mind down into the heart. That's what really being still is. No more chatter. No more monkey mind. No more distraction. Be still. I'm sure you've heard the saying, be still and know that I am God. I like to cut off the God bit and say, be still and know that I am. The true you, the capital S you, not the body, not the mind, the true self, the I am presence is you. And when you are still, when you move out of your head down into your heart, you access you, your true essence of pure awareness, of love. You are love. And so being still is basically doing the opposite of everything you've ever been taught to do in this world. Being still means, yes, having the courage, heart, moving from the mind down into the heart for once, and hopefully for a lot more times in your life, increasing amounts until it becomes where you stay and your mind becomes a servant to the heart. So first, you've just got to be able to, at least once, just stop and be still and allow your mind to empty. How do we do that? We go into heart coherence, which is simply gratitude. Heart coherence is where the brain waves entrain with the heart waves. So both have a frequency, a wavelength. They become entrained so that they become coherent, in harmony together. The brain is a servant to the heart. This is how it's supposed to be when our innate technology is online. So moving into the heart is simply moving into a place of love, gratitude, Think of whatever you need to bring your mind, your space into gratitude. Yes, it will bring your mind into gratitude too. You need your mind. It's just not meant to be in charge, running the show. It's meant to work in coherence with your heart. And we've talked about this many times. The heart is up to 5,000 times stronger than that of the mind. So, moving into the heart, gratitude, appreciation, love. Feeling the frequency of that energy. It's beautiful, and you've all experienced it before. You know what this feels like. Those moments in your life where you felt bliss, love. You're in your heart at those times. This is how you be still. Step 5, allow your inner child to be seen and heard. We've all heard of this concept of inner child. And often, if you've never done any inner child work or shadow work, that inner child is screaming for your attention. And how does that inner child scream? Through the very things that seem to be annoyances to you, by triggers, by reacting, by feeling irritated, anger, sadness, guilt, fear, frustration. This is the inner child trying to get your attention. So we can only finally stop and listen to that inner child when we're still, when we're in our heart. So step 5 is just allow your heart to open and then invite your inner child to be with you. And this means continuing in stillness, but asking, and if you're a visual person, that's wonderful. Ask and see this little girl or boy version of you and just sit with her or him and assess her or his needs. Look into their eyes. Allow them to express their emotions. That's their energy in motion that was never expressed. Allow them to show you what they really feel. And of course, this is really you, but it's a part of you that was fractured. And that's why you feel like sometimes you can't control that thing inside you that just wants to feel, but you push it down. That's your inner child. You cannot maintain pushing down all the time throughout your life. That turns into disease in the body. Okay, so allow your inner child to be seen and heard. Sit with them. Do not judge that inner child's feelings. Do not try and parent that inner child. That's what you've been doing your whole life, shutting them up. Allow them to be seen and heard without judgment, in total acceptance, with loving kindness, gentleness, and patience. The way you would treat an innocent child, because this indeed is who you really are. And with love. Love is the universal solvent. I love that saying. It's beautiful. So using love in this beautiful visualization, allowing your inner child to fully express the range of emotions that you've stopped them expressing your whole life. And release these emotions. This is where often you'll start to feel energy and motion within your body that wants to come up. And what's that? Emotions. You'll feel deep sadness. You'll feel deep fears. You'll feel deep anger. Whatever it is that needs to arise, allow it. Total acceptance of the process. Total surrender to the process. You're not here to do anything here. Allowing what needs to arise with love and loving that. This is inner child work. Step 6 is just allowing these emotions to come up. This might take 5 minutes. This might take 3 hours. There is no rule book here. This is a lifetime of repressed energies that need to be released. Repressed programs, stories, narratives that you've held on to can be released in this process. Step 7, non-judgment, total acceptance. This is not about the socialization process of being good. Okay, this is where the parent you steps aside. Okay, you are just repeating how your parents socialized you with your inner child, and that's not worked your whole life. Be quiet, be good. Okay, that doesn't work for healing and growth and transformation and release of repressed emotions. Parent steps aside. This is not a socialization process. This is a process of releasing energy. Step 8, this must be done consciously. So you've probably noticed before this, when you would be under stress or triggered by something, you would react and just vomit out emotions. You were never conscious of it. You might cry, you might kick a stink, but you would never actually stop and go, how am I feeling? What is this that I'm feeling? And then sit with yourself and allow that emotion to be felt fully without judgment, in total acceptance, with love and patience and kindness. We don't normally do that. We must do that consciously. We must release our emotions consciously, or they're still going to be operating covertly. So we've got to fully see the emotions, and that requires consciously doing it in loving acceptance. Step 9, don't try and fix or problem solve anything here. This is not for the mind. This work does not involve up here. Okay, the mind is a servant to the heart in this whole process. This is not to be logicked out or analyzed. You've been doing that your whole life. Has it worked? Just leads you down more rabbit holes, more endless threads. So putting the mind aside in this process of release and healing. It's the opposite of how you've been programmed here. So we're going against the grain of what you feel is normal, but ultimately what you know is true. And we're learning to allow our innate guidance system to come online so we can really sense, feel, and know things rather than have to logic them out, which is very limited. We're very limited. We're very limited because we can only logic out what we have already received as data. Whereas the heart has unlimited possibility and potentiality for your healing, growth, and transformation. So, step 10, surrender instead of struggle, which is resistance. What resists persists. This is not a time to try and resist anything. Do not resist what must be released here. Whatever this inner child feels, let it, allow it. I heard something beautiful. I'm sure you've heard this one before, but if we think about it, destiny is we're all going down the river towards the ocean. Free will, and this is where I want you to use free will. Free will is the choice whether you resist that flow into the ocean or whether you surrender and let yourself flow there. Okay, this process of releasing repressed emotions must be done in total surrender. So allow yourself to let go during this process, because it's the holding on and the control that has kept you stuck your whole life. There's no room here for your small self trying to control things, your automaton programming. Doesn't work. Step 11, open up your antenna for receiving your next step. That's right. You don't need to logic it out anymore. Your heart will receive the inspiration, the root word spirit will receive the spirit guided next step. So ask and the teacher will appear in your life. Stop trying to do this with your small self and your limited understanding and your mind. From now on, once you've released, and this could take months, it could take years, but every single session you spend with yourself releasing, you'll feel lighter and freer and more peaceful. And isn't that worth it? So, step 12, stop the old ways of doing. Have you noticed they haven't worked? Have you felt peaceful and happy? No, because they don't work. The old ways of doing, producing, and achieving to feel fulfillment in life does not work. Let that idea go. That model is dead. So learn how to be. And I'm talking about being still and silent to be able to hear your heart's guidance system. Everything I've just talked about. Receiving direct inspiration from source. The next step, wisdom, guidance, intuition, and intelligence to take that. And you will. You have to let go and move from your monkey mind down into your heart and stay in gratitude and stay in love. Stop creating stories out of everything outside in the world around you and why you are a victim. Just stop. Because you're giving your power away every time you do that. Everything around us is here to serve us, to show us where we're still not remembering who we really are. So don't get lost in the illusion of blame and judgment and pointing your finger, because you will go around and round in cycles of suffering. Take full responsibility for your life and your creation in each moment, and you will hold the power again. So step 13 leads us to stop comparing. From what I just said now, obviously you cannot compare to someone else, because everyone in our lives are a mirror or a projection of our inner world. We are one. Now, I know that's difficult to grasp, especially when you've been operating from this idea that you are your mind and body. But as we move into new, greater understandings and higher perception of who we really are, we know we are one. And by doing and loving ourselves, we love our neighbor. By loving our neighbor, we love ourselves. So stop comparing. We're all here together to move closer to love and unity consciousness. Do you want to be happy, or do you want to be like everyone else? That's the other question. Because right now, let's be honest, the majority of people are not happy because they're still operating from the illusion that they're their mind. So do not compare to anyone. You'll find that the average person still is probably not worth comparing to until they operate within their central channel, direct receiving of inspiration in every step they take, in walking in love. And you'll know these people, you'll feel that. You'll be drawn to these people. Like attracts like. As you practice being still and receiving from love, from your heart, and operating via your heart, you will be drawn to like-minded people. These are your people. And this is just going to grow and grow and grow in your life, because that's the principle. Like attracts like. Step 14, connect with others and be real and be raw and be authentic. We need to be real. We need to be raw and we need to be authentic. Why? Because otherwise we're bullshitting each other and ourselves. When we are real, we are showing others they can be real and they can release emotions without judgment and full acceptance in loving kindness, patience too. We cannot heal ourselves or the world if we are being fake, if we are putting on a fake anything. By being real, by expressing the full range of human emotions, fear, anger, sadness, guilt, everything in between, we give permission to everyone else to do the same, so that we can release this crap that we've been suppressing within, so that we can be real with each other. We can truly connect. You can't connect with someone when they're not being themselves. You don't know who you're connecting to. Most people who are not being themselves do not allow anyone to connect with them. They have guarded their heart. They've put a heart wall up. They do not trust because they do not trust themselves. So you give permission to everyone around you when you be real with everyone. Show them who you really are. because this in turn will allow your true dreams to come into your projected timeline, your trajectory, I should say. You can't expect your real dreams, and I'm talking about the dreams from your heart, not your head, not from cultural values, from your true values. When you want your dreams to come into your life, you have to be real, you have to be raw, and you have to be authentic. Otherwise, it's a confused and mixed message. So, people and circumstances will change around you and be magnetically created into your life when you are real with your thoughts, words, and deeds. And when you're living in your heart and really practicing that, you'll find that you come out with the right words, thoughts, and deeds in each moment anyway. There's no thought required here. The mind works with the heart and will provide that for you in each moment. There's no need to be in your mind strategizing, analyzing, and marinating and grinding on things anymore, which is suffering. And now the final step I want to just share with you is watch your life moving to higher trajectories, as I kind of just mentioned, in ease and grace. Wouldn't you like that? To be in flow, surrendered, allowing, feeling love in every single moment. That is true power in your life. You are truly going to find your dreams will be drawn into your life and manifest physically around you. But going back to number one here, realize this has to be priority in your life. If you are someone who says, I'm going to be authentic, I'm going to be real, well, first you have to release all of that repressed crap. And you have to face it with courage. There's no faking it till you make it here. There's no fake. So recognize that you have covert programming that cause the triggers and cause the reactions and cause the moods. That's all it can be. And release it through the steps that I shared today. And I promise you, absolute promise you from the bottom of my heart, you will feel better. And that comes from personal experience too. So I hope that you've received an important message here today. It really is worth doing inner child work and releasing these repressed emotions. But it requires being still, the opposite of everything we've ever been told how to do things. So go ahead and do the opposite and enjoy the process. It's very rewarding. Have a beautiful day. See ya.